Well, we're here. Here we go. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, everybody. If it's just tuning in, my name is Will Hall, better known on the internet as Will Hall EXP, and I am joined by a GP winner, a four-time top eighter, the one and only Jarvis Yu. How are we doing, Jarvis?
Yo, what's up? I'm having a great Saturday. It's really hot outside, so I'm happy to stay inside and have an excuse.
Oh, you need to come to the UK. It's very wet and miserable here. You know, what I mean, if you want it to be cooler, you're great. But obviously, we're covering, as Anu said, it is a team event, 25K. This is Pioneer, Modern, Legacy. We see a lot of Pioneer over the last couple of months of the RC season, so we're going to be focusing mainly on the Modern and the Legacy. What are you most looking forward to out of those two formats?
Well, Modern and Legacy have gone through a bunch of shakeups with the Lord of the Ring sets coming into the format. Obviously, there was a Legacy ban a few months ago. Expressive Iteration, White Plume Adventure got taken out of the format. So I think both of the formats are really trying to figure out what's going on there. And, there's a Pro Tour in Barcelona in a few weeks, and Modern's one of the primary focuses of that. So there's a lot of interesting stuff to see, and, we'll also see what happens at the Pro Tour, I suppose.
I can't tell you how excited I am for this Pro Tour, being Lord of the Rings. You know, I'm a massive fanboy with it, plus Modern. It's in Europe, exactly where I'm at. But there's been a lot of cards that have been printed, right? They're making some big waves, shall we say, in Modern and Legacy. The main one that everyone's talking about and the hype was around was obviously the One Ring. We've seen it popping up quite a lot online. It's been in paper tournaments. I imagine we're going to see a lot of it this weekend. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, people who have watched my stream recently know I have a lot of thoughts on that card. Suffices it to say, the card's really, really powerful, and we're going to see a lot of it at the Pro Tour. It's more of a question of what deck makes the best use of it in Modern, or maybe Karn the Great Creator rises to the top in Modern as a counteraction to it. In a Tron deck, and maybe even like in the Core Tapper Dice Factory style deck as well.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in, especially in Modern and Legacy, these bigger formats. That there's so many cards been printed over the years that we just need time for the meta to evolve. You know, off the bat, yeah, great, we worked out it's a great card. You get your bad beat stories to it, but there's so many brewers and deck builders out there, and the card quality is so high that it might be able to adapt. And if it doesn't, obviously, then we start talking about the B word. But we won't bring that up here. The other card that's been, I feel like, seen more of in Legacy than Modern, very mildly, is the Orcish Bowmaster, and how well that one's been. I know you're a big Legacy player. How are you finding either playing with that or against that?
I think it's a good check on the format because Brainstorm is kind of one of the best cards on the format. Taking down Brainstorm by a peg or making it harder to just cast Brainstorm willy-nilly is probably a good thing for the format in general. I would say that, Legacy can tolerate a 2-mana 1/1 that sort of makes your cantrips awkward to cast. It has definitely pushed the power level of format upwards. We've also seen a bunch of One Ring decks pop up there. Soul Lands powering out the One Ring makes sense. The One Ring in control decks also makes sense, like on-rock style control decks. There's a lot to explore in Legacy still, and I think we haven't figured it out all the way.
Well, it looks like we're going to go down to the players, and we are going to be starting at the Legacy table. I know that'll make you happy. We're going to have Grixis Delver versus Deck B. Not heard of this Deck B before, but maybe it goes along with Player B. I think we're going to try and work that out behind the scenes, but we'll find out super shortly, I'm sure. I know you've been playing a lot of was it Grixis Scammo? So seen you playing quite a bit online at the minute.
I've actually been playing a bunch of Grixis Delver, like literally this style of deck. I'm interested to see if this person adopted the style of deck that I advocated for last weekend that I ended up playing. There's a few things that really make it clear if it's my precise list, namely the 2 Delver of Secrets is a very weird number to look at, generally speaking.
So if you were playing this weekend, this is the deck that you would have been brought?
If I were in the Legacy seat, yeah. If I were in the Modern seat, I would play 4C Omnath Ring.
So there's one card I see in the hand already, which I think it's the card I'm going to talk about. I've seen popping up, and it's Sorin's Ransom. Why is this random 3-mana instant now popping up in Legacy of all formats?
To give a quick breakdown a bit, I think it's hard for the Delver decks to just outmuscle their opponents without some extra way of getting more card quantity. You basically need something like Expressive Iteration, except that's banned. So something like Sorin's Ransom makes a lot of sense.
Okay, makes sense. I think it's now starting to pop up in modern as well. Maybe we'll see that this weekend. I know there's a new hot spiciness, but I'm pretty sure we're on Reanimator. We're looking at the right of your screen here, as we can see
Mhm.
Faithless Looting cast and a couple of petals, and I think we're going to go for a turn one. Is this Entomb or Reanimate? Is it? No, I can't remember. Work out what
So
it
it
was.
was Faithless looting into 2 Lotus Petals into Exhume.
Exhume. Thank you very much. Um, Obviously, this is going to be worthy of a Force of Me. If you just tune in and you've never watched me do any
Uh,
legacy coverage ever, it's going to be Force of Me all day long.
yeah. I kind of wonder if Travis would have been better served by forcing the Faithless looting, because generally when you play against Reanimator, their bottleneck is getting the card into the graveyard. They usually have more reanimation spells than ways to discard the creature card.
And obviously, Faithless Looting, banned as we spoke about in modern. The other format we'll be covering today, if you're just tuning in, it's going to be Legacy and Modern all day. As we see, there's another one come down. But I was going to say, has the flashback ability on it? Something it was deemed to be. It was too powerful for Modern.
Uh, yeah, it is a really strong card. It might not even be that that's just the cutoff for it being too powerful. We haven't seen Careful Study enter Modern yet, and I think probably they just don't want to print that type of card at 1 mana.
Right, I've got the deck list, Jarvis. I can get them up on my screen, have a little look at what we're working with. The first thing I was looking for was the Siren Sanity. There isn't one in the 75, so that's pretty upsetting for me because it's a nice little highlight moment. But on the other side, doing exactly what they want to do, right? Early counter magic into Delvers. Unfortunately, they're not flipping, but this is a
Yeah.
thing in Magic.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it happens. With a fetch land and 2 Delvers, you can sort of get a mini scry, although Archon's obviously going to take one of them out. Kind of harder to find the cards you need with only 1 Delver plus the fetch land.
Yeah, that's Animate Dead coming back. Obviously, going to bring back the Archon. We're going to get the trigger, drain a little bit of life free on either side. We're going to draw a card, discard a card over on Travis's side, and they have to sacrifice a creature or a planeswalker. Not ideal for Travis going down on cards. This is kind of everything's going Austin's way currently, right? Oh, but I
Yeah,
do see a big Del threat in hand.
that's an interesting lineup, depending on how many instants or sorceries are in Travis's graveyard. If you actually get 4 instants or sorceries in the graveyard, make a 7/7. When Austin goes to attack, you actually it would only have to be a 6/6 because Animate Dead gives it -1/-0.
Yeah.
If we just find 3 instants or sorceries in our graveyard, we can just make a 6/6. Austin goes to attack, we sacrifice the Delver Secrets, block, and then suddenly we're in fine shape, assuming there's no good follow up.
Well, unfortunately for Travis, that was another fetch land off the top. We just got a couple of fetch lands plus this Murktide. Only 1 instant in the graveyard. That is a force of me. So if it comes in, it will only be a 4/4, and that doesn't match up very well against an Archon, considering it is a 5/6. And when it attacks, we also have to sacrifice a creature or planeswalker, along with a grief that we're now able to hard cast over on Austin's side. This is exactly how we would want it to go. Show me your hand. Do you scoop here, or do you keep playing this out?
Given Travis's deck list, he can still draw a Brazen Borrower to return the Archon to hand, but it is going to be a tough sell because Travis takes a total of 8 damage going to 7. The Grief will still be a 3/2. Assuming you have to use the fetch land, that's a 2-turn clock as well.
Yeah, I think we're 1 draw step away for Travis here. It's got to be something big, and it's got to be something good right now. Having a little look, does have access to, well, Snuff Out doesn't do anything here because they're black creatures. I'm struggling to find anything. I suppose it literally has to be Brazen Borrower, and
Yeah.
it's not. We're going to be scooping them up, and that's it. Game 1 to Austin on the right of your screen. Same again. Reanimator taking down game 1 against Grixis Delver. This is closed deck list, so players don't have access to each other's deck lists. We do in the booth, luckily for you all, but we're not going to get up on the screen. It just gives us an indication of what we can talk about. So on a loose brush, Jarvis, what sort of cards, starting on the Grix side and Travis' side, do you think we should be bringing in here to try and shore this matchup?
Any counter spells, any graveyard hate are excellent. It's debatable if you should side in something like Hydroblast. I don't know if Travis plays close attention, but his opponent played a Bayou, which indicates probably there's no sideboard show and tells, so I would not sideboard in Pyroblast. Sometimes you do if they show you an Underground Sea in game 1. The small details, the small information, it's a lot to take in and gives a lot of information. But here I would go for the Force of Negations, Graphic Cages, Surgical Extractions, and perhaps the other Soren's Ransom, because what can actually happen versus Reanimator is they have a lot of discard, so the games can get sort of weirdly grindy as well.
That's one thing I've noticed in I've been covering a lot of Legacy recently over the last couple of months is the minute details in Legacy matter so much more. And speaking to Legacy players like yourself, people have gone through this game for years playing it, kind of masters of their craft. How it's really intriguing to me to watch it and be like, oh, I didn't even, I understand sequencing things in the right order, but just the little tiny details that I never picked up on, and now I'm picking up on, and I'm like, it's crazy how much deeper this game goes than just turn one Ragavan and so to speak, things that we kind of see in modern. It's really been a nice breath of fresh air for me.
Yeah, and looking from the Reanimator side, the sideboard looks to be almost all creatures, weirdly enough, and 4 spells. There are Chancellors of the Annex, which I don't expect to come in, 2 Fairy Macabres, a Max of the Moon, 3 Dothy Voidwalker, 3 Orcish Bowmaster, Meltdown, Abrupt Decay, 2 Nature's Claim. You could make a case for siding in Bowmasters, I think, and I'm interested to see if the Reanimator player reaches for those cards.
Yeah, I think that we're going to see a lot of that card all day. Not just today, but preferably probably tomorrow as well. Because I say this is now a modern legal card because of the Lord of the Rings set that just got released, as you were speaking about. Pro Tour coming up in only 2 weeks' time. Cannot wait for. I can't tell you how buzzing I am to look forward to that. So I've got a question for you. If you were playing this weekend, who are the 2 mates that you would want on your team?
Oh, am I allowed to choose anyone?
Go for it. Anyone, past or
Probably
present.
choose Reed Duke in Modern, and for Pioneer, I would probably choose Bobby Fortinelli.
Ooh, nice. That's a nice little dream team there. Have you ever played with these players, or are you just this is just a dream team?
Reed, Bakula, and I played an SCG in Cleveland, I think in 2019. We didn't do great, but sometimes that happens.
It's magic, right? Sometimes you have great
Yeah.
days, you run hot. Other days it doesn't go too well, but you get to you go for lunch early. And the main part of it is the second bit, right? The gathering. You get to hang out with all your cool
Oh
friends
yeah.
at the weekend. That travel, especially in America, you all travel from different states, going to the same tournaments. And
Mhm.
if you guys are into sort of thing, there's a lot of paper magic. It is coming back now. We're gone past the COVID era. We are getting well back into paper magic, same along with the Pro Tour. If you just tune in, I'll give you a little reminder of what's going on. This is the Legacy. This is wrong. The SCG 25K Team Trios event. My name is Will Hall. I'm joined by Jarvis Hugh, and we are bringing up the Legacy seat right now, but there is Modern and Pioneer action. We're going to be focusing mostly on Modern and Legacy this weekend because, we've seen a lot of Pioneer recently with the RC seasons, etc. Plus, the new set, Lord of the Rings, is only legal in the Modern and Legacy formats. Obviously, vintage and stuff stand fast, but this is what we're going at. So it's going to be quite a good weekend. We've got 2 days of coverage on this stream for a new. Remember, this is fan made for you people at home. If you enjoy Paper Magic, you enjoy this stream, we need you to hit that follow button. We need to get the stats out. If you've got Amazon Prime, throw out this stream. All the support to this stream brings all the paper coverage. We've got to fly new all around the country with all this kit. It doesn't come cheap. It's all out of pockets. Anything you can do to help, feel free to do that. It's easy. Click the follow button. It's nice. You know what I mean? Easy done. And then you always get reminded when we go live. As I say, next time will be tomorrow. Looks like both players just finishing up their sideboarding, drawing their opening 7. What do you want to see in your opening hands for both these players?
From the Delver side, ideally, the ideal hand would be like 1 drop, 2 pieces of interaction, whether it be Graveyard Hate or a Force of Will / a Daze. I'm really not willing to settle for anything less. I guess if you switch out the 1 drop for another piece of interaction, I would probably keep. But the danger in the matchup is if you don't have a threat, the game can drag on and you just get reanimated out over like 5 or 6 turns.
So I do see an Orcish Bowmaster coming. I see no land in the hand, but I do see Orcish Bowmaster for Austin over on Travis's side. We've got the 1 drop you spoke about, a load of baubles and a couple of cantrips. Is this and excuse my analogy, but like in Modern with Dredge on the other side of the battlefield, you basically have to kind of mow until you hit a threat. You can't just think I'm going to race Dredge. It is just too powerful if I don't have some sort of hate piece. Because this to me for Travis looks like a good keepable hand, but as you said, doesn't have a hate piece in it. Are you willing to mulligan down to 6 to try and keep that? It looks like he isn't, but would you be?
I think it's definitely close. I'd be inclined to mulligan, but certainly you can justify If you see a graveyard hate card in your first two surveils, and your opponent doesn't have a nut draw, it would probably work out okay with the brainstorm as well. Like you see a lot of cards. The issue is if they actually have the turn one, which they're less likely to do on 6 cards, your hand is extremely vulnerable to that. But I think Travis is taking a calculated risk here. It's a reasonable hand to keep. I think personally I would not keep, but it's definitely on the edge for me.
Yeah, I think it's one thing, but I think it's in your mind, right? You're like, this is a good hand. I've got my threat. I've got ways to scroll through my deck and turn and burn for it. But on the other side, if there is a nut draw on the other side, I am going to have a real bad day. Looking at the hand there, looks like we've got a couple of land, Bowmaster, Petal, a couple of Archons, and an Unmask. Probably keepable here, but no crazy explosive draw just yet, unless we manage to draw something off the top, Faithless Looting, etc. But stand fast for that happening. It's on the play draw. Is this kind of huge in this matchup? What I mean, on my side, I feel like if I'm playing on Travis's side, I think I'm the control person in this matchup. You know what I mean? I've got to stop them from doing what they're doing, because the second they fire it off once, there's a good chance I'm not going to be able to get back from under it.
Yeah, great point. I think definitely Travis would be preferred to be on the play. Another huge reason for that is Daze, which is one of these cards you don't see in Modern very well. You literally don't see in Modern because it's not legal. But there's a huge differential between Daze on the play versus Daze on the draw. And we're just going to see all of the baubles fired off. He's just looking for a surgical, forcible ASAP. Nothing else would be good. And he's just going to probably crack both of the baubles because he knows he's exposed to a turn one.
So doing this to try and basically dig, potentially hit a force of me off the top, give himself some sort of protection, trying to find a Daze, trying to find a force of me. And yeah, exactly as you said. This is a team event though, so it's not the worst of the world if you do lose in your seat. If your two friends that you bought this weekend also managed to pick up W's, there's the days that we spoke about, then your team does advance and get the 1-0 victory. You need 2 of your teammates to win, and one of them potentially can lose, or just still be playing as you go. But there's days as we're speaking about, and that could be big, right? But this Petal might throw a spanner in the works for it.
Well, a force was picked up just now as well, so I think now Travis's hand looks excellent. Obviously, he didn't get turn one. He survived the onslaught, well, theoretical onslaught that could have occurred on turn one, and now we just have a lot of selection. We're probably going to get Delirium. Oh, actually, I think we already with the Ponder we do have Delirium as well, so that's kind of nice as well.
Yeah, we're going to be able to hit the clock on that we need to do to get that chip damage in as we can, and kind of control with these counter spells. So yeah, this is playing more into Travis's game plan of what he wants to do. So now we've got the counter. Are we just digging for more counter spells, or are we going to try and find a few more threats?
I think a second counter spell would be nice. A second DRC/Delver would also be nice. This looks like a Bowmaster probably being cast.
I imagine this might end up eating a Daze if it does.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Austin should have responded to the Surveil with Bowmaster, which is something you normally don't do. But that's because if the 4th type was hit off the Surveil, you couldn't even Bowmaster the DRC.
Yeah, see, I think I am inclined to agree with you on that one. Obviously, you know what you're talking about. You play this format a lot more than me, but I think you're right. Now it's kind of it's out of reach of this Bowmaster unless something crazy like a brainstorm is to come into it. But it looks like, as you said, queued up. It's going to come down. Daze is going to hit it. It's going to go to the graveyard. We're going to get our Surveil trigger again. Yeah, that's going to be another land to the graveyard, and now we
extra force of negations, the likelihood of drawing one of those is a lot higher. So I think probably Travis just ran the numbers. I've seen Travis play a lot. I've been pretty impressed with him as a player. Excellent player, usually very methodical, thinks everything out. So I think he just took a calculated risk on this hand in terms of keeping.
I'm guessing, mostly if you come to these tournaments, you come with a legacy player. You don't just throw someone randomly into this seat. Is Travis known for being a Delver player? Is this just like the sort of side that he is on, or does he play in a lot of multiple formats?
And interestingly enough, I associate him as a Hammer player more than anything else. I don't know his exact Delver experience or legacy experience, but judging from mannerisms and games I've watched him play, I think he's generally a pretty reasonably good player.
Well, everything's coming up. Travis right now as he gets to untap for the turn. He's got a handful of counter magic now. That's just an island off the top. Starting off with 3 damage coming, connecting to the face of Austin. That's going to drop him down to 10, I believe. Yep, 10. There we go. And then just play a land drop. Because we don't need to do anything else, right? We just need to stop everything Austin's doing. We've got our threat on the battlefield. We've got end of turn counter. We've got end of turn counter magic if we need to, but it also brainstorms if we want to go that route. And Austin just playing pat on pass and turn back. Another brainstorm off the top. Is there a reason to not be firing these off end of turn? Obviously, I'm talking as a semi-inexperienced legacy player here. Why am I not firing these off willy-nilly?
Interesting you asked that. I would actually be inclined to fire at least one of these off just to get more information about our hand. I think we have enough blue cards to pitch 12 of our forces. And I think just having like an extra piece of, surgical or, a graph ticker's cage or something. Well, there's the surgical right there, would help out a lot.
And I say it's picked up to see how he wants to go about this. Do you think Ponder is too powerful for modern?
I'm not touching that question with it with the 10-foot pole.
It's a question that always ends up coming up. Oh yeah, it'd be fine.
So
Will it
I,
though?
I will say that the first modern Pro Tour in 2011 Pro Tour Philadelphia, Ponder and Preordain were illegal, and the deck that me and a bunch of other people concluded was the best deck was just Splinter Twin with Ponder, Preordain, and all of the good interaction, because it beat the other combo decks and it beat Cloud Post, which was the deck that drove out all of the mid-range decks.
Well, I'm guessing you wouldn't answer the second question then about it's something to do with Splinter Twin, but we won't go down there, ladies and gentlemen, as we can see a lot of cantrips being cast here. This is going to be a Ponder. Surveyor, we're going to keep it on top. Look at the top 3, put them back in any order, then draw a card. Obviously, we can shuffle if we want to. We don't want any of them. We've got a good look at the hand here, though.
I think with 2 forces, you do want to draw the blue card. Oh wait, there was already an extra blue. There were already enough blue cards. So yeah.
We got double counter spell plus surgical. Sure. I think we might be chalking this up to a win over on Travis's side. Yep, we're scooping up straight away. Didn't even show the hand. No need to do it. And we are going to get a game 3 with Austin Anderson on the play. Rakdos Reanimator. Don't have confirmation of what's happening on the back tables, but if you just tune in, this is a teams trio event. So one person's playing is Pioneer, one player is playing Modern, and the other one is Legacy. On this stream, we will be focusing on Legacy and Modern, though. We've seen too much Pioneer over the last couple of months, and we know that we're at home. You just want to see the Legacy Modern action. So make sure you let us know in chat which one you prefer to see. We're interacting, we're reading it as we go along. But now, Austin, on the play, does this change on any way of sideboarding for either of these 2 decks, play draw dependent?
I don't think so from Travis, because like the good cards are good, and I mean like Days gets a little bit worse, but you don't want to cut them because they're blue cards for forces. And I think his configuration sides into 6 forces. Conceivably, you could, if you did cut removal, like it looks like he did shave 2 bolts. Given that you saw Austin side and Bowmaster, you might want to have the bolts back in your deck. Nowadays, I actually tend not to cut removal versus Reanimator because they love to like cast Magus of the Moon, Dothi, Voidwalker, Orcish Bowmasters. There's just like a lot of really good sort of mid-range creatures that the Reanimator deck can move to.
Yeah, we've even seen Shield Dread popping up in a few lists recently. It's just been a big threat coming down, and by itself can kind of run away with the game. We've seen that all the way down to Pioneer again. That card's legal in all 3 of these formats that we are on show this weekend. So we are having a little look here. It looks like we might be cutting the bolt or bringing at least one back in, because after what you said about, obviously we've seen Bowmasters have now come in. We don't want that sitting on the table too much, but maybe the bolts are coming out actually. Well, let's see. Interesting how we want to go about this. But this is, ladies and gentlemen, a fan-ran channel for you, for the players, by the players. So if you're enjoying this content and you haven't hit that follow button, I need you to hit that follow button. We need to get all these statistics up so we can start getting more sponsors, start bringing you more paper magic from around the country. If you've got an Amazon Prime, feel free to throw it at this channel. It all helps. We need to try and grow this so we can get more paper magic for you at home, because let's be honest, we're all here because we love this game. We love watching it. Digital Magic's great, but nothing beats the feel of, seeing players sitting down, shuffling up their decks, drawn an opening hand, and we get to see the reaction on their faces. Because you see, look at this production quality that's going on here, ladies and gentlemen. We've got hand cams, we've got player cams, we've got table cams. There's probably a new cam that we'll see at some point going on later on. So much work goes into this. So feel free, please, if you can, help out this channel. As the players are just finishing the shuffle up, they are a little, looks like when the teams are kind of talking amongst themselves, because you're allowed to do this at a team event. Do you prefer team magic or individual magic?
Depends on my mood is the best answer, I think. But I do enjoy hanging out with friends, and that's one of the best things that Team Magic provides.
Yeah, I personally, for me, I feel like it's a weight off my shoulders, because I'm like, oh, I lost, and then someone else in your team also has to lose for your team to take the W. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, cool, yeah, well, we'll just crack on with it. And that brings me to the opening hands. Looks like we're drawing, and let's see if we got to keep. Not over on Austin's side, he's throwing it back.
Okay.
Over on Travis's side, I see a lot of blue cards.
Uh, Pretty excellent hand. Like, obviously, you're going to keep this hand. You're protected versus even like an unmask into a reanimate. Like, it supposedly had the turn one that could plow through one force. This hand has two forces, so you can very easily, defend yourself. And the opponent's mulliganing, so Travis has to feel great about his chances here. I wanted to note the middle player, actually, for Travis's team, is qualified for Pro Tour Barcelona. He made an insane run at the USRC playing Incarnation Fires. So kind of interested to see him play maybe. I think he's playing Golgari Yawgmoth.
But that is a deck so close to my heart. I can't tell you. That's my favorite deck in Modern. Remember, this is a $25,000 tournament, ladies and gentlemen. First place, not only do you get a nice big chunk of that, but you also get qualifications to the regional championships at DreamHack. So, there's a lot on the line this weekend if you want to do it. Even better if you've got someone going to the Pro Tour playing the Modern seat. They're getting more practice in for a couple of weeks' time where we get to see the Lord of the Rings Pro Tour. I can't believe I've ever allowed to say that out loud. You can't see my face. I'm so happy about two of my biggest fandoms coming together. I just need a Star Wars one and I'll be over the moon. As well for the races, Austin starts with just a turn one fetch land. And over on the other side, we're just starting off with a ponder. I guess we're going to try and find some threats or cheap threats, shall we say. There's a delver there. Any of these cards take your fancy? Or am I just splattering out rubbishness?
I think, depending on the exact three cards, I would keep the Delver and plan to flip it a turn from now. The Murktide's probably just pitch fodder unless if the game does go long enough. One thing Austin, I think, should have done was actually cast Entomb during Travis's upkeep. A, this plays around Force of Negation, and B, it plays around a potential Daze from Travis.
See, little details like that are the things that kind of, we all take for granted. And we're like, oh no, I'll just do it end of turn, because it's kind of programmed in our mind. Instant speed spells have to be cast at, instant speed. You can't play them at sorcery speed. It's saying, oh, when to play them. Always do it end of turn. It's these little intricate details, like you said. And we might, do you let this resolve, or do we try and fight over this? Because we do have access to Daze. And well, it looks like on Travis's side, he wants to Daze that.
I think with the Delver as a follow-up play next turn, it makes a lot of sense to Daze it instead of 2 for 1ing yourself to counter the spell. And really, Austin could have at least forced the 2 for 1 if we had just cast it upkeep before Travis got to play land.
Yeah, that's really smart. As we're now going to start off with the Delver. This is it. We've got a threat on the battlefield now. Another Entomb in turn. Now, do you fight over the second one, or do you fight over the reanimation spell?
So, like I said before, the way the Reanimator deck is constructed, there are usually 12 reanimation spells, and there's only about 8 to 10-ish ways to get in the graveyard. You can sort of count Unmask and Thoughtseize, but not all the time. It's mostly Entomb and Faithless Looting are more reliable ways to do that. So if you just look at it from that mathematical perspective, it's usually correct to force the Entomb.
That's really cool that you're saying that, because in my head, I'm like, oh, I'll just counter the reanimation spell, not the Entomb. But I suppose this is another way where it rewards you for knowing the format, knowing the decks, and knowing how they tend to work, especially numbers-wise, as we now see Orcish Bowmaster coming down and getting rid of that Delver before it can flip. And, it's going to bring along with it what they call the Orc army tokens. It's not a talk. Is it a mass?
It's so in War of the Spark, it just said a mass and made a zombie army, and now it says a mass orcs. I believe the War of the Spark cards got actually eroded to amass zombie.
Okay, so we're gonna start going down
Yeah.
this road of having a lot of different amass.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
I believe you can get a zombie orc army now, if that
Oh,
tickles your fancy.
oh, it does. Sign me up. I love a bit of flavor text in there. Okay, we got a second Orcish Bowmaster. These cards pretty good in multiples, I imagine, when your person opposite you is playing cards like Brainstorm. We're just going to turn our card sideways though to get 2 points of damage in. Travis is going to fetch end of turn. And we've got Bowmaster at the ready over on Austin's side if we need to go that route. And so this little chip damage, it's not it adds up.
Oh,
It's
it definitely adds
delirium.
up.
Don't think we got Ponder, so we got instant creature land. I think we're one card type off for a free Dragon Age Chandler coming down if they're still in the deck. So that wouldn't be able to get Bowmaster. But that's future talking. We don't actually have them in the hand currently. Travis is going to untap and draw for his turn. Draw step. I am Mystic Meg, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome. I'm all over it. So yeah, there's Dragon Age Chandler, but without Delirium.
No, there is Delirium. It's Ponder. It's instant sorcery creature land.
Oh yeah, we got. Oh, sorry, I don't know.
Look, I was confused because I was trying to work it out. I'm like, I think a DRC is safe from the second Bowmasters, which is the concern here.
I thought it was days before. So yeah. Anyway, here we go. It's going to be another Orcish Bowmaster coming down here. If that hits the battlefield, we get to do damage and get to grow the Orc token. Remember.
So that's actually not that bad for Travis, but you do kind of want to figure out how you want to handle this. What you can do is just let the amass resolve onto the token, then just bounce the token, and then Austin's left with 2/1/1s versus Travis's 3/3. The 3/3 will be forced to attack next turn, so the race does get kind of dicey, but at least this turn you don't get attacked by the Bowmasters, and that looks like what's going on here.
Yeah, he does awkwardly have a a Brainstorm in hand as well. Force negation and the Brazen Borrower. Draw step for Austin. Didn't get a good look at what he got there. Petal.
Yeah, this is also a situation where Soren's Ransom would actually be pretty good because it avoids the drawback of drawing cards. The cards are simply just, kind of put into the player's hand.
We're going to see it. Faithless looting here for Austin off that Petal. Had no red mana to cast. It does now. Is this something you kind of want to fight over? You've got a Surveil trigger if you want it. We've got a Force negation, so we stop the flashback if that was ever to be a thing.
I agree with this play, I think, yeah, because the flashback would also be a problem at some point. It's likely that Austin has two not so good cards in hand. And I think really our best draw at this point for Travis is Murktide Regent. That just kills very quickly, doesn't care about this Bowmaster business.
Interesting. So that's the card we're digging for, basically. Everyone has decided as we're going to come across here for 4 points of damage. What could this be representing? Because as you said, this 3/3 lines up pretty well against a 2/2 in a couple of 1/1s.
So, in my opinion, it doesn't really represent much. The only thing, if you think you can get Travis to block the Orc army, another Bowmaster would be problematic. But I'm just inclined to just block a Bowmaster, fetch, and then just petty theft the token, get a Surveil, dig for another threat or something good, and just take my free cards. But here, Travis didn't even want to do that because I really think the life total doesn't matter that much unless we're literally dead.
It looks like we're just wanting to get, if we get one in the graveyard, we use it as a reanimation target. So it'll come back on the battlefield. We'll be able to get another point of damage to the face. We'll have to get to grow this Orc army one more. I suppose this is kind of the upside to not bouncing with the Petty Fest then, right?
It worked out a lot better for Travis. And we're holding on to this thing for dear life. The problem is we have to attack and this race doesn't end up great. I think I would have been inclined to use the petty theft end step.
So then you could potentially hard cast it this turn if you need to get 6 in the air to kind of try and win this race.
Yeah, that's part of it. But also if we just find Murktide Region, it outscales basically everything else that's going on the other side of the board.
Okay, big draw step. Didn't get a good look at what that was. It's See what Austin can do. Thinking about his options. I think we've got at least one more reanimation in, or a reanimate spell in hand for Austin. So he's going to turn everything sideways. This is going to be 5 points of damage if it all connects. Try us pitting those 2 lands aside because, yep, I think we are going to start bouncing. Get the survey trigger. So talk to me about how survey and fetch lands work and how we can use that to our advantage.
Kind of hard to actually use it to our advantage, mostly because, like, if it's a bad card, you should just mill it anyways, most likely. The exception is if it's like Mystic Sanctuary and you see it, then you probably don't want to surveil that away and you do want to shuffle it away. But generally speaking, there's not a real interaction there.
Nice to see it. Okay, well, we're going to pass it back. There's no reanimate or any other cards here for Austin, just a land for the turn. Life total is 9 versus 14. I'll let you do the quick math to work out which one of these is going to win that race quickest. And just
I think it is Travis. If we had done the petty theft thing a turn earlier, we would have deployed the 3-1 a turn faster as well. So I think it would have been better to just do it immediately. Instead, it's getting close now. We'll see what happens exactly.
It does only have 1 toughness as well, remember? So, potentially another Bowmaster comes down or something like that could just shoot it out of the sky. We're going to start off by turning them sideways, getting a bit more chip damage, dropping down to 7. I think we've got Unmask and 1 more reanimate spell in hand. Can't make out which one it was. I think it might be Animate Dead.
It's Animate Dead, yeah.
Okay, 6 damage coming across. Austin drops down to 5. We're on a 2-turn clock, well, 1 more turn clock now that they've connected. And we're just passing the turn back. What does Austin need to find here? An Archon. I don't think that's going to be hard castable here. Remember, this is game number 3, Team Trios event. 1 person playing Pioneer, 1 person playing Modern, and we are watching the Legacy seat. We're only going to be covering Modern and Legacy all day today, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure you strap in, keep this stream on, because you're going to get the best coverage possible, brought to you by the one and only Anu. So if you do want to support the channel, make sure you hit the follow button, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And we're going to start off by turning these Bowmasters sideways. That's going to be down to 5. So chat pointing out, can we unmask himself?
You can.
And then die. It's not gonna line up that way, not how you want to do it. So Travis is gonna take this thing down 2-1 and help his team out a little bit there. Sorry, Travis, carry on.
So the problem was the unmask thing would work, but you need black card plus unmask plus Archon plus the reanimation. Austin only had 3 cards. That would require a minimum of 4 cards. So it didn't quite work out. If he somehow had another black card at some point, it would have worked out.
Luckily, the whole petty theft sort of a turn later didn't end up biting them in the butt there, and they managed to carry on through and go into that. So we're going to go to a little break, ladies and gentlemen, but it's only going to be short soon while we sit the next round down, get the players seated, get all that sort of stuff going. Let us know in the chat what you want to see. Do you want to see in the Modern seat or the Legacy seat? I'm sure news that's floating around in the stream. He'll kind of take all that feedback and we'll bring it to you however you want it. So from me and from Jarvis, we'll see you shortly.